Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, and today we're going to be talking about my namesake, which is Mahadeva, one of the names of Shiva. Mahadeva is actually a fairly common name. It's not uncommon to meet people from India whose first name is Mahadeva. But Mahadeva is one of the names of Shiva, as far as you know. As far as you know, it's one of the names of Shiva. And it means great God or great deity or great light. But Deva, the root Deva, comes from the same Indo-European root word where we get the word divinity, where we get the word for the sky god, Tiu. But it means light. So Mahadeva is the great light. Word Maha, we have it in the word mighty. Mighty is spelled M-I-G-H-T-Y. The M-I-G-H is actually Magh. So Maha, Magh, means great. Maichtig means having to do with greatness, mighty. But the root word is Mach. In fact, the word more, if you want more of something, it comes from the root Mach, and then to make something greater, you put the ER. Better, stronger, faster. So more is Mach-er. More means great, but even greater. So Mahadeva is the great divine light. And as I said, if you've heard the name before, then you know Mahadeva as one of the names of Shiva. But there's actually a very wonderful and powerful secret having to do with that name. And one could make the argument that Mahadeva is actually not Shiva himself, but something Mach-er, greater than Shiva himself even. So in all traditional spirituality, everywhere in the world, you will find that there is a trinity. Sorry, I'm having muscle pains, too much going to the gym. You will find that there are trinities everywhere. So you've heard, of course, of the Christian Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. But what you may not know is that that Trinity does not exist anywhere in the biblical record. You won't find it in the Old Testament. You won't find it in the New Testament. It is something that was imposed upon Christianity hundreds of years after the beginning of that religion. And it was done because the people who were Christians, which were primarily Europeans, they had a traditional spirituality that always had a trinity. In the Norse tradition, you've heard of it as Odin, Vili, and Ve. So you've heard of Odin, but when you really look into it and you look into the mythology, you find out that Odin is not one deity, but Odin is three. Odin, Vili, and Ve. And Odin, Woden, means he who is made of woad, which is the ecstasy of shamanic union. And woad is sometimes translated as rage, but it's not rage of anger. It looks rageful to us because somebody's just incredibly fired up and intensely having basically an orgasmic, blissful experience of unity, which to us is frightening, but we're not the ones experiencing it. Just like, if you're not the one enjoying physical pleasure. When you look at it, it sounds like people are hurting each other. It's quite different. Same thing. Woden is filled with this ecstasy of spiritual union. And then there's Vili, which in English is just the word willpower. And then there's Ve. Ve is a Germanic word that fell out of use, and there's no coincidence for that, because it fell out of use after the introduction of Christianity, which the word Ve means spirit. And it comes from the same root as Vishnu. Vishnu, the Vi in Vishnu comes from the same root for Ve. Village, it means it's a safe space. So a village is a safe space. And a Ve in the Norse tradition way back when was a temple. And why was a temple called a Ve? Because it was a sacred space. You weren't allowed to bring weapons into a temple, because the Ve is the heart center. It's a sacred space of sacred spiritual space. So you can't bring anything sharp in there, because it's a place of unity and communion. So we've got, the Christians had God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, which of course they imposed because the European mind couldn't tolerate the thought of there being just one almighty God. If there was an almighty God, he had to have three parts to him. So they imposed that onto Christianity, and a lot of Christians don't even realize that. You go to church and you just are indoctrinated into believing in the Trinity when, if you tell a Christian, find me anywhere in the New Testament or in the Old Testament where in one place you will find an expression of the three. You won't find it. It doesn't exist. Okay, so you've got Christianity, you've got the Norse tradition, you've got the Taoist tradition, which they look at the universe and they use the Trinity in multiple ways. And one you'll hear is heaven, earth, and man. Same idea. You've got the high, which is heaven, earth, which is lower, and then man, which is in the middle, the heart center. And with Odin, you have Odin and Vili, willpower, and Ve, which is the heart center. In modern times, we have mind, body, and spirit. Same thing. Mind, body, the lower self, spirit, which is always associated with the heart. This is something that is part of being a human. Part of being a human is to see human existence in this Trinity. So, what is it about Mahadeva that makes him the great God? Because Mahadeva is not just Shiva. Because Shiva, in the Hindu tradition, you have the Trinity, which is Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. Same thing. Shiva is the higher self. Brahma is creation, which would be the lower self. And then you have Vishnu, which is the preserver of which he creates a sacred space for humans to live. Same idea as the Ve in the Norse tradition. So Vishnu is the heart center. And this is why Vishnu, of the three, is the only one that incarnates in human flesh. Because he represents the spirit. He represents the soul. So we're made up of three entities. We're made up of a soul, we're made up of a higher self, and we're made up of a, quote, lower self. I'm touching my navel here, you can't see that. But we're made up of these three beings. And so Mahadeva is actually the combination of Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. When you combine all of the powers of these three, you have Mahadeva. With Odin, you have Odin, and you combine all of the aspects of Odin, Vili, and Ve, and what do you have? You have the All-Father. Same idea. He becomes all-encompassing. That's one of the other reasons why Odin is the Allfather, is because he represents all three. He represents higher self, Odin, Vili, willpower, creation. That tells you something about how to manifest. You manifest through proper use of the will. And then you have Ve, which is a sacred spirit, your soul. Your soul is Ve. So I'm sure there's other examples of this, but again, this is something that is part of human existence. So I'm going to go even further to say that the whole concept of Mahadeva, and why Mahadeva is so important to humans is because in order to be your best self, in order to be fully activated, shall we say, to be fully activated, you must be connected on all three levels. Your higher self, your lower self, and your middle self. And when all three of these are activated, you then become divine in flesh. You become Mahadeva. You become that. So it is your destiny to be like him. Now, as you see in the description and in the links, you see that I have a new channel that I've just created, which I want you to go to. So you can just on YouTube probably just search for Mahadeva Speaks, those two words. But I have a link here in the description and in the chat. Click on that, go and subscribe to that channel, because my plan, we'll see what happens, but my plan is to have that be just set aside just for my connection to my higher self, my future self, Mahadeva, and let him speak. And the more that I am tapping into this and letting it come out, the more amazing and wonderful it is, especially the idea that you are Mahadeva. Mahadeva isn't something outside of you, it's you. So if you are a human being, you at your core essence, you are great divinity. You are Mahadeva. And the way to get to Mahadeva is through your own soul, which is what? Pure light. And the way Mahadeva describes himself is he says that he is a being of pure light, of pure energy, of pure bliss, and that he lives at the nexus of all timelines where space and time come together. There is no past, no present, no future. There is just existence. And in that existence is this divine light. And when the more that I transmit him, the more he keeps saying that everybody is with him there. Everybody is that. So it's not like he's something separate from you. He is that essence that is you. Of course, I'm going to transmit it, through this vessel, so it's going to come out with my voice and my speech patterns and, my way of putting ideas and concepts together. And if I'm channeling and you hear me like stutter or pause or anything like that, it's because I'm trying to put into words the information that's coming to me, because it doesn't always come to me in words. It comes to me in feelings lots of times. And so I have to find ways to put those into words, and I struggle with it, and I have resistance, and there are things that Mahadeva wants to bring through that I don't necessarily understand or like or am comfortable with, and so I fight with it. I had an interesting experience. I was, as you know, over the past week, I was banned by YouTube for medical misinformation. I still don't know what I said, but whatever it was, apparently it was the wrong thing, and they blocked me for a week. So during that week, I started thinking about ways to diversify, and this is one of them, to give Mahadeva his own channel, Because, if I, as the Thunder Wizard, I tend to get into, I get ornery, and want to pick fights about certain things. And so if something were to happen, God's forbid, and this channel would, got shut down, I want to be able to make sure that I have ways to still transmit this knowledge to people. So I was thinking of diversifying. So I started thinking about, what if I were to channel this more often? And so, as you heard, if you've gone to the channel, you can hear just the audio sessions of me saying, okay, here's my question. I'm going to ask him this question. And then I go into the transmission. And there was one, maybe I should have kept it just for fun, but I asked a very specific question about, I don't remember what it was, but it was something along the lines of, predicting what's going to happen for me next. And I asked that question, and it was just crickets. Nothing. No response whatsoever. Nobody home. I'm like, am I making this up? And then I ask a different kind of question, and all kinds of information comes through. And it's because of where he exists. He exists in a place where there is no specific, definitive manifestation. He is not tied down to anything that is connected to time or space. For him, the only thing he is consciousness and awareness. He is in that space that is before or after or beyond creation. He's in that space of infinity. So for me to ask him a question about something finite, I'm not going to get a response, because he has no interest in that. It doesn't exist for him. So all of the questions that I give him have to be connected somehow to awareness, existence of the soul. And let me be clear about the soul again. Your soul, if you're listening to me, you have a soul. And I know that many of you, like me, have had a lot of challenges and issues, and some of you are still very bound by the limitations, the challenges, the pain. You may still have a lot of emotional pain, might even have physical pain. And that may be the only thing that you see. You experience life through that filter of your pain. And I'm not judging it. I've been there before. I'm sure I'll be there again. It's it's no fun. And so it's really easy to see life only through the physical limitations. And so we want to ask questions that will make us feel better. We're looking for questions that will make us feel like we also feel out of control. We feel like we have no control over this life. And one of the things that we all do, which is a mistake, is to think, if I can just figure out a way to get more control over things, I'll be happy. And so the majority of our questions have to do with how we can get more control over this limited experience, this manifested experience. And there's nothing to be gained by that. This is basically everything that astrology teaches. For those of you who are new to the channel, you can go and get a reading from me or one of my apprentices at astrology.thunderwizard.com. And we've got other people on here which are also my apprentices, which I will go ahead and anyway, sorry, I got distracted. I should never look at the chat until I'm done with what I'm saying. Anyway, what was I saying? I just totally, I'm a typical guy. If I have more than one thought, they crash and I forget what I was doing. So Mahadeva only talks from I use the word joy. And I don't want you to misinterpret that, because it's much bigger than that. So, in the future, I honestly can't make any predictions what he's going to do or what he's not going to do, or how he's going to communicate or not communicate. I asked a specific question about what I can do to control and get the most out of my specific life, and there was just crickets, nothing. But he may respond to you, so you can ask him whatever the heck you want, and who knows how he'll respond. But more than likely, he's going to, and this is my guess, he's going to respond based on whether or not you are operating from your deepest, most authentic self. So whatever the answer is going to be about bringing you back to that place. The feeling that I get, and again, I'm more than happy to be wrong and have this change over time, because when you're dealing with, infinity, who knows where this is going to go. But the feeling that I have, and now I just lost my train of thought again. The feeling that I have is that what Mahadeva, at least for the time being, wants to focus on is your connection, experience, and understanding of manifestation. And I liked the symbolic way he put it, the metaphor where he said that living the human life is like playing a flute. So I can play a flute. So I understand that. Where you've got fingers over different holes, you get a different note that comes out, a different vibration. And the way that you play those different notes, there might just be on some flutes, there's only like 4 holes. The way you play those notes and how you play them creates a different song, a completely different song, even though they're the same 4 notes. You have 2 people, give them the same flute, and they will play those same 4 holes, and they will come up with 2 completely different sounding songs that make you feel completely differently. And his metaphor is that is our life. And if we can understand that, and if we can do that for us, that very challenging, difficult dance where we are, on the razor's edge between having all of our feelings and at the same time not having to have those feelings or impulses drive us, but not be in denial. That's the hard part. A large majority of the New Age, and it could be New Age, it could be the hippie, it could be the neo-shaman, it could just be the average person down the street, certainly your average Christian church. When they talk about, not having any negativity, what they really mean is to shove it down and deny it and pretend it's not there. And that's a very human thing, to shove our feelings down, to deny our feelings. So to walk that razor's edge of having all of your feelings, having all of your impulses without any judgment, and at the same time not allowing them to force you to just react or respond to them, but to have the ability to choose the actions that you take, and at the same time allowing yourself to surrender to the flow of that life that you're creating, the melody that you're creating. And it's a very, very challenging lesson, because it's one thing to say, it's very easy for me to say this life is an illusion. It's very easy for me to say that. It's very cavalier. This life is an illusion. Don't be attached. It's very easy for me to say. It's another thing to do it. Saying it and doing it are 2 different things. It is extremely simple. Mahadeva's message is extremely simple. But for us to be able to do it, not indulging in your the fear, not indulging in the part of you that wants to control. And control can be anything. Control can be anger. Anger is probably, controlling people are very angry. So anger is because you can't control. You're afraid. So you want to control things. Violence is about, the war that's going on. It's very simple. The war that's going on in Ukraine right now is Russia's trying to control them. Russia wants them to do some very specific things. And so they're going to use violence to control them and get them into the negotiating room so they can negotiate a peace where Russia gets what they want. So violence is about control. But you can control people through seduction. You can control people with bribery, with money. You can control people with guilt. You can control people, if the way, by the way, in case you want to know how not to ever be controlled, is to be in a state of continual trust of the universe. If you trust the universe, then nobody can control you. Because they're going to try and control you with either something they think that you don't have or something you think you don't have, money, or they're going to threaten you with something that they're going to do to you. If you don't do what they say, something bad will happen, or they will force something bad to happen, or they'll tell you something bad's going to happen to you if you don't do what I tell you. So there's all kinds of ways to control, but it comes from a place. People who are trying to control you are people who are also out of control. They can't get what they want. And so they think by controlling you. Theft is one of the greatest ways of understanding that, because you don't steal unless you don't think you have something. Unless you think somebody else has something that you want, you don't steal from them. If you see somebody that has something that you also want, but you don't have any fear, then you can get your own. You don't have to steal it from somebody else. So, are you controlling your life, or are you trusting and flowing with it? It's very challenging to trust and flow with it if you're not feeling good. If you're angry, frightened, confused, lonely, sad, miserable, whatever negative feeling, if you're having one of these negative experiences, then it's very challenging to go with the flow and trust. So that's, again, another explanation of, what I teach here, which is, again, you can go read the book, The Shamanic Secret, Commandment to a Perfect Life. That is a book which you can find on Amazon. It's also, I've got the videos here on this channel. If you want to go search for it, you can look for it in the playlists, and you can hear me read the book if you don't want to spend the $10 or whatever it is. But that's really the most valuable information that I can give you. And it is the basis for the rest of what you can do. So, anything, no matter what, if you're learning fencing, basket weaving, I don't care what it is. Whatever it is that you're learning, you have to have a correct basis where to come from. How to hold the sword. How to stand. You have to know the basics first. Otherwise, it's you can't, if you got a plate of food in front of you and you have to use utensils and you don't know how to hold a fork, you're not going to eat. So the first thing you have to do before you eat is you learn how to hold a fork. You know how to hold a fork? Okay, now you can eat. So the basis of everything is what I teach in that book, which is to be able to determine what your soul wants. So one of the main things that you can ask yourself is, I don't know what my soul desire is, because the idea is your soul is infinite. Your soul is Mahadeva. It's not just my soul. Your soul is also Mahadeva, the great deity, the great divine. Everybody's soul comes from that same huge, bright, shining place of infinity and bliss and love and consciousness and awareness. And so your soul came here for it to experience something. It wanted to experience joy that could only be experienced in three-dimensional physical reality. And so in order for that to happen, it had to inhabit this, this monkey body that has a brain and all that, and it has to be able to interface with three-dimensional reality so that it can have the illusion of whatever it wants to experience. And so that's part of the game, is you choose to forget. Listen to my language. You choose to forget. You choose to forget that you're Mahadeva so that you can have fun here. But it's not going to be fun if you don't actually go after what it is you truly want. And the thing, the reason why we like drama, if you're a writer or a performer, a dancer, director, anything to do with performing arts of any kind, you know that the basis of all drama is you have a protagonist that has to go up against insurmountable odds. And it doesn't matter whether it's Star Wars or whether it's Macbeth or whether it's, pick your TV show, Knight Rider. It doesn't matter what you're watching. There is a protagonist who has to overcome insurmountable odds, and then there's this victory. That's that's it. That's all drama, comedy. It's all the same. The reason why we watch that stuff, the reason why I was thinking about this the other day. What did people do before televisions? Even when I grew up, when I was born, televisions had already been invented. And I was still a little kid. It was the big, ugly black and white thing with the little flip in it. But my mom would stick me in front of the TV as well. Now parents stick their kids in front of all kinds of devices 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We only had like 5 or 6 channels, and the channels went off at 11 o'clock at night, midnight. And you'd be watching something, and then it would just go to that snow, or you'd fall asleep in front of the TV, and you'd wake up to, and there'd just be that that static in the snow. Many of you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But what did people do before that? They told stories. They played music. They read books. They read poetry. And it was always around us. There was always a story where there was a protagonist, which of course is you, who has to overcome insurmountable odds, defeating the dragon, whatever it is, in order to achieve their soul's desire. If it's a love story, then 2 star-crossed lovers must fall in love and find a way to be together against all odds. It's always the same story. So it doesn't serve you to get trapped in the negativity of your life. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm not saying to feel bad about being upset, being sad, angry, hurt, lonely. I'm not telling you to have any of those feelings. I'm saying that I'm trying to portray to you what Mahadeva has downloaded to me in just a concept, which is so deep it's very hard for me to put into words. But that we indulge in negative notes. If you're playing a flute, there's a wrong note, and you keep playing that wrong note over and over again. Even if it's not a wrong note, it's a sad note. You keep playing the sad note over and over and over again. And if that's all you know, it's very hard to trust. You've only played one finger on one hole, and there's 4 other holes there. And you've never done that. You don't know what it's going to sound like. You don't even know if you can do it. And this is where you don't indulge in the negativity. And it's very hard to do that without denying the feeling. That's the razor's edge. You have to walk the razor's edge where you have the negative feeling, but you don't, number one, knee-jerk react to it. You don't let it control you. And number two, you don't indulge in it, because that's the easy thing to do, is just whine and complain or stay furious or stay angry or want to fight everything or whatever it is. That's another one. And then the third option is to just push it down and deny it, pretend it's not there. Because you can't tolerate the feeling. Feeling is so uncomfortable, you want it to go away. And as you know, on most of my live streams, most of the questions are people asking me how they can stop having their feelings. And I say, when did I ever tell you you were supposed to get over that feeling? I never told you never had to get over anything. The only thing that you're required to do is to take action towards the joy in your soul. That's the only thing you're required to do, and you are required to do it. If you don't do it, you will suffer. And it may kill you. I, just went through another death, and I'm 58, so my sister now has passed away. She was 8 years older than me, and she passed away of ALS. Horrible disease. And my sister's been miserable. I mean, she wasn't a miserable person. She was, I loved her very much, and we had a good connection. But she had a lot of misery in her life, and a lot of, she somaticized her emotional misery, and she always had some serious physical ailment, and it ended up catching up with her, and it killed her. And so I mean what I say, that if you do not fearlessly flow with the desire of your soul, you will suffer. And there's just not an easy way to say it. That's all there is to it. But we can live in that state of bliss. But we also have to play out the drama that we've chosen to experience. You have chosen to take on a role in the play. And you have to show up. And for those of you who know Vedic astrology, you know about the Aruta. The Aruta is your costume. I was an actor, so I know you have to show up in makeup and costume, and you have to show up and then do your part. So you, in this drama of life, you have a costume you're supposed to wear. And in Vedic astrology, it's called your Aruta Lagna, which means the reflection of the self. It really means a refraction. When you walk in the door anywhere and there's other people there, you think they're looking at you. But imagine if you had a mirror. Well, you can't see my hand. Imagine if you had a mirror and they don't see this part, they only see this part. But in the mirror, it reflects you, but you're wearing this costume. The pirate, the king, the queen, the whatever. You're wearing a costume. That's all that they see. They can't see you for who you are. They can't see your soul. They only see the costume you came here to wear. And if you don't know what that costume is, and if you're acting differently from your character, it's like you're off book. Like if we're doing a rehearsal and an actor forgets their lines and they start ad-libbing, somebody will go, hey, you're off book here. You're off the script. That's not what it says. Try it back. Let's take it back. When you're off script, then the rest of the actors get all upset. The rest of the characters start getting angry at you. Like, what the hell are you doing? In fact, there was that's a great story, but my brain isn't working very well because I just got up from a nap, so we'll have to leave that one for later. Anyway, Mahadeva. So, in case you want to know why I'm constantly hammering at you for doing the work, is because in order to experience and be Mahadeva yourself, all three of yourselves have to be in alignment and working together. So, I come on here and I give people a hard time. I know a lot of people on YouTube just come and watch YouTube videos and that's all they do. And that's great. I'm glad you're coming onto the channel. I wish I had 1 billion subscribers and people would watch. I would be happy if 5 million people came and watched my channel and didn't do anything else. But the truth is, you're going to get a lot more out of my channel if you do the exercises, the energy exercises. Because we are energy beings. We are beings of energy. We are beings of emotion. And if we want to vibrate completely on the level of our highest divinity, the Christian tradition says that, and the Jewish tradition says that human beings are made in the image of God. That is true. You are made in the image of Mahadeva. And what is Mahadeva? The great deity who is heaven, earth, and man all at the same time. Odin, Vili, and Ve all at the same time. Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. So Mahadeva, as I said, isn't Shiva. Mahadeva is Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu all at the same time. When they're all working together, you have the great God. You have the Trinity. You have the Mahadeva. And so if you, as a human who is made in the image of the great God, then all three of yourselves must be in unification. You have your higher self. You have your lower self. I'm touching my navel. You have your lower self, which has your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind, all of your psyche, the things associated with your identity of who you think you are. My name is so-and-so. I grew up here. I like this. I don't like that. I'm angry at so-and-so. My parents did this to me. Life is this. You can't trust the man. Whatever it is, that's your lower self. And then you have your middle self, which is your truest self, which is your soul, which lives in your heart center. Your soul has been placed there. It's actually not your whole soul. It's just a tiny little projection because you live in that state where Mahadeva is. You're there now. You're there, but you're having this experience in this holographic projection, and you've chosen to believe it. You've got your costume on and you've chosen to believe it. If you want to fight with your costume, that's up to you. If you want to fight with the role that you've put yourself, the curtain is up, and the audience is out there, and the lights are on, and the play is going. And if you want to decide to go off script and screw up your own play, nobody's going to stop you. But, you're going to get a lot of boos and hisses from the audience, which you're going to perceive as the universe not helping you and being mean to you and being cruel to you, and nobody loves you, and it's a cruel, inhuman place. But if you play your part and you know that it's your part, and like Mahadeva says, you can take your coat off whenever you want, put it back on whenever you want, meaning your life, your personality, your reactions, you can choose to let that go or hold on to it. It's completely up to you. If you follow and flow with the desire of your soul, then the play ends up becoming this wonderful drama where you, the protagonist, overcome insurmountable odds to slay the dragon or, show me the money, whatever the hell it is. You know what I'm talking about? So that's Mahadeva. And as I said, I have a new channel, Mahadeva Speaks, and you can just simply, I believe you can just simply search for that on YouTube, Mahadeva Speaks, and you'll find my channel. And I would like to see everybody go over there and subscribe to that channel. What I was going to say earlier is that the reason why I'm constantly hammering away at you guys, why did you just come onto my channel and you're not doing the exercises? And I can tell, by the way, by your questions, I can tell if you're doing the work. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. I can tell if you're doing the work or not. And that's why I say, let me guess, you don't do the exercises, do you? You don't do the energy work, do you? Even the free stuff, you don't do it, do you? And I'm almost always 100% right. Sometimes I'm wrong, but most of the time I'm right. Why is that? Because I can tell through your question if your three selves are in alignment, if they're in the process of becoming aligned. I can tell if they're completely, totally disconnected from each other. It'll come out in your question or in your comment. It'll be apparent to me. And that's not because there's anything special about me. It'd be apparent to anybody else who's like me, working to unify these three selves, the upper self, the lower self, and the middle self, your higher self, your unconscious psyche, and your soul. When you're seeking to connect all these three together, you kind of you can tell people who are on that same path and people who are just what the average person would say, they're unconscious, they're unaware, they're unawakened. It's easy to tell. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's part of you show up to play your part and you haven't got your lines memorized yet and you don't have your costume on and they say, 5 minutes, Mr. Denny. You're on in 5 minutes. Holy crap, I haven't even, I'm sorry, but the curtain's going up in 5 minutes. You got to put your costume on and go. So that's why I keep telling you guys to do this. If you want to have that Mahadeva, I'm not saying this is the only way. It's the only way I know. There's plenty of other places to go. But in order to have your higher self, your lower self, and your middle self aligned, it is an energetic vibration. However you do that, I don't care. You do that through bhakti yoga. You do that through karma yoga. You do it through raja yoga. For me, I work best if I can get my physical body to align energetically, and then all of the internal stuff happens. All of the emotional awareness comes, all of the spiritual awareness comes, and all of that. But it's the same thing. You're aligning the three selves. So if you want that, that's what all this is about. Go to thunderwizard.com, subscribe to the 90-day challenge. Just go down and click, on the first level 1 and just click play and follow along and follow the exercises and do them. Okay, you don't want to pay however, it's really cheap, by the way. People say I can't afford it. I don't understand that. You're living on the street. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe whenever you want. You got nothing to lose. But you don't want to do that? Great. You can go onto the channel, put some effort and look at the playlists, and you'll see the Qigong, you'll see the Heaven Earth Qigong, you'll see the Awakening the Immortals Qigong, and they're all free and they're there for you, and they all do that same thing. And the whole focus of all three of these, people want to open up their third eye, and I go, why do you want to open up your third eye? You haven't even connected to your soul yet. Don't get ahead of yourself. The whole point of all of it is to connect directly to the source of Mahadeva, which is your soul. Your soul is the source for everything. It's where you came from, and it's where you're going to go. And in the meantime, we now have this triune experience of the great God, the great divinity, the Mahadeva within you. But if you don't have a method to align all of these things, it's going to be challenging. How many people listening to me have really challenging lives, are in a lot of pain, they went through a lot of challenges as kids, they feel like victims, and of course, when we're in our victim mentality, we think we're unique. But think about it. How many other people in the world have that same experience? So it's nothing new. It's not like you're some strange, weird thing that happened out of nowhere. This is part of the human experience. This is part of the drama of overcoming insurmountable odds to achieve the whole. It's even like sex. Sex is like that. I mean, if you were to watch it, it'd be like, man, those people are fighting with each other. What are they fighting over? Oh, he's winning. No, she's winning. And then and that's all. And then they relax and everything's fine. That's life. Life is like that. So if you want to experience the success of that, you've got to align the three selves. And again, beating a dead horse. This is my way of doing it. That's the best way that I know of. I don't have the Maoshan links up there, but you can also go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com, which is the elite practice. So having said that, I'll open it up for questions. And again, there's the Maoshan links. That's the elite practice if you really want the high level stuff. I'll open up the for questions now. And again, question is you write the word question in all caps and then ask your question. Try to get to the root of it. Tell me why you're asking the question. What are your feelings behind it? Otherwise, I might get cranky and psychoanalyze you. And anything other than that, I'm not going to address anything that's not a question. So, having said that, let's go ahead and get started here. All right, so we've got Vincent.thunderwizard.com who says, hello, you should go to his website, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. This is a brave warrior who is in the process of aligning his three selves, just like I'm in the process of doing it, and he can teach you all kinds of things. You can go check him out at Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Thundra Staves Rangel, the lightning goddess, who is also a radio personality to the best of my awareness. She is also somebody that you can go to. She has her own stuff that she does. Thundra, THUNDRA.thunderwizard.com. You can go check her out. What else? Pro Semite. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just not interested. I don't care. Whatever I'm interested in a question. Whatever you think happened or didn't happen, or you said something wrong, or I'm just not interested in that. If you want to ask me a question having to do with what I teach, great. Otherwise, who cares? I don't care about that drama. What else? And if I keep seeing people like that just putting noise, I'm just going to end up erasing it or blocking it or something. Let's just focus on the practice. Let's forget about personalities and let's focus on the practice. Okay? Can we make that agreement? That's what I'd like to do. Okay, what else? Olivia Rackley question, if I learn all the element moves, I'm coming close. Good for you. Could we go over all of them in one video session? I mean, of all of the 5 elements, there's just no way there's just no possible way. I mean, the reason why I'm asking that is because it sounds like you just want to get it over with. And this is for you, Olivia. So, I'm giving you, in case you want to understand, she's practicing the 5 element forms. This is for you. So I'm willing, and as you know, you don't see me emailing you and say, Olivia, where the heck are you? You're supposed to be, it's here for you. So whatever degree you want or don't want to work with me on it, that's great. But, I can only give myself about an hour each session. So if you're asking me, can we spend like 4 hours? No. And it doesn't serve you either. You can you'll see once we do it, it's a lot of stuff. So, to answer your question, if I learn all the moves, could we go over all of them in one video session? I guarantee you that there's no way you're going to get all 5 elements down so well that I won't have anything to say. And that's me too. But it's completely up to you. I'll do as little or as much as you want. Okay, so I'm here to help you. You get a maximum of 2 sessions per 2 1-hour sessions per element. If you only want to do 1 hour per session, 1 hour per element, that's fine. It's completely up to you. But my suggestion is to take advantage of it to the best of your, get as much as you can out of it. You paid a lot of money for it, so. Olivia Rackley, honest feeling. I'm happy that all the poltergeist activity in my home has stopped from me doing the lightning qigong. What have I said? These guys fought demons with their bare hands. And when you do these, when you go to this website and you see me, you're doing these weird kung fu looking things. It can be used as a martial art if if you wanted to use it that way. But it creates an energy. It's the lightning energy of the heart coming out of the hands. And demons can't be in the same room with that energy. They can't. They have to leave. So it's great that you said that. But this is what these guys used to do. When these guys wanted to train, guess where they went? They didn't go down the street to the local martial artist because that's too easy. They would go to a haunted place, or they would go to a place that was possessed with demons, or they would go to a burial ground, and they would pick a fight with a spirit. That's how they trained. So it's really interesting that you said that all the poltergeist activity in your house has stopped since you've been doing the lightning qigong. And you're needing less sleep. That means that you're not as depressed. So again, it's opening up the heart center. Yeah, you're probably going to have some feelings that come to the surface, but when you get them out of the way, then your soul, that joy starts to shine through. So I'm really happy you said that, Olivia, and I'm glad to see that the practice is working. So, and we haven't even met. We haven't even met to go over it yet, and look at already what you're getting from it. So, you guys, I'm not making this stuff up. This really is the best information and the best tools that I have. I'm giving you everything that I know. I'm not hiding anything from anybody. But you got to do the work. You want the benefits, you got to do the work. We got to stop thinking. We humans, we try to think ourselves out of our feelings. We try to think ourselves into spirituality. And for me, I would just rather get in there and physically shift the vibration of the energy in my body, which will put me in a different awareness. That's the easiest way for me. It's working for Olivia too, it sounds like. Flame 160 question: is it normal to feel pressure in my forehead after doing nighttime lightning qigong? Right here, that's your third eye, right? Yeah, that is not, I'm not going to say it's normal, but it's not uncommon. It happens with me. And it's, all the meridians are kind of, there's a nexus point right there, which is one of the reasons why people call it the third eye. It's a nexus of energy. Behind that is the actual third eye, which is the pineal and the pituitary, in the center of the brain there. But yeah, you can feel that energy come there, and that's normal. So one of the things that happens when you do the lightning qigong is you could feel pressure in just about any portion of your body. And it means that if you're feeling pressure anywhere, sometimes people will feel pain, but imagine having a garden hose and you've got it kinked, right? And you're turning the water on it, it gets kinked and it gets stuck. But then if you unkink it, all the energy goes through. Same thing, if you have pressure anywhere, it means that there's, the meridians are opening up. It happens to me every time here, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't bother me. But yes, it is normal. Your sinuses, it's not in your sinuses, but it's this is where the nerves come right here on the surface there. So it's the same general area. The sinuses are in that same general area there. Carolyn Doherty. So Carolyn, the word question can be in all caps. You don't need to yell at me with the rest of it. Just the word question. And why is that? Because I want to see that you're asking a question, and then I'll read it. Have you got videos on how to use runes? Carolyn, welcome to the channel. If you go on to the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel and you look on the playlists, you will find runes. If you go here to thunderwizard.com, at the lowest level of subscription, I give runes. Tons of videos on the runes. If you want to become a rune master, I also have 3 books which I read on, again, so Carolyn, you must be new to the channel, so forgive me, I'm going to say the same thing to you that I say to everybody else. If you put the time and the effort just to look a little bit into the channel, go and see what's on the playlist, go, learn how to search by keywords. Like if you go to my channel, thunderwizard.com, and if you have it on a laptop, you'll see at the channel page, you'll see videos about, and then you'll see a magnifying glass. You click on the magnifying glass, another search engine pops up, and you write the word runes, and then you'll see every single video on my channel about runes. Forgive me, but seriously, guys, if you guys just put a little bit of effort, you wouldn't have to ask me that question. You could figure it out. If you want to become a rune master, I've got 3 books on runes. And if you go to the link, again, put a little time and effort, courses.thunderwizard.com, you'll see how you can get hold of my books. You can go to Amazon, type in my name, Michael William Denny. So again, guys, just the tiniest bit of effort into finding out. You don't have to ask this question. If you want to become a rune reader and have me advertise you when I go on to the live streams, if you happen to be on here while I'm doing a live stream, you can go to lockdown.thunderwizard.com, and if you pass the very simple test, I will give you your own website, and you can, if you put the effort into it, maybe you'll be able to make a living out of that. For years, all I did was read runes. That's how I made a living. So I teach you what I learned from doing that. Olivia Rackley, honest feeling. When I do the metal set in particular, the energy becomes so intense that it spreads all the way across my chest and is starting to push through my shoulders. This makes me pleased. Good for you. Congratulations. Again, guys, I'm not kidding you. Am I kidding you about this stuff? It's real. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I feel apathetic and detached. I want to connect with others, but it's hard to find people I resonate with. This may be because Ketu and Moon are in Scorpio right now. Well, it may just be because you're a human being following a spiritual path. I mean, you've got more connection to people than I do. I mean, you're going out on dates. I can't remember the last time I had a date. So, you know, again, it's just a feeling. And you know what? There are people that are surrounded by people and they're lonely and they're miserable. And then there are people like, you know, it amazes me. I'm a very solitary person, but I feel, you know, I don't feel lonely. I feel good. I enjoy my life. And so, again, this is a Mahadeva thing. If you're connected to yourself, you're happy with people, you're happy alone, you're happy in whatever circumstance, because you bring it with you. The happiness is created inside of you. So feeling apathetic and detached, it may be because Ketu and Moon are in Scorpio right now. For sure, there might be an astrological, it probably is. But it also could be that this is, again, these are just feelings that come up because this is old programming and old wounds. And the more that you do the work, the more these things come up. And again, what have I said? It's just a feeling. You need to have them. You need to embrace them. You need to experience them with no judgment, to love yourself through them. Like the tapping guys say, even though I have this feeling, I thoroughly and completely accept myself. And then you just keep taking the action. And the feelings, like the weather, will change if you keep doing the work. Olivia Rackley, question, how much more difficult is the spirit fighting moves than the 5-element Qigong moves? A lot. We start getting into a whole different realm of, but make no mistake, the 5 elements are spirit fighting practices also. But what she's responding to here at the maoshan.thunderwizard.com, I teach you the first 5 elements of the Maoshan spirit fighting energy kung fu forms. But then there's at least 5 more. 4 that I know. I used to know the 5th one, and I tried to get it again. I've got it, you know, I unfortunately I didn't memorize that 5th one. And there was a guy that I knew who knew it, and I asked him recently, could you send me the video for that? And he didn't. But that's okay. But there's 3, specifically 3 that you need to open up the 3 centers. That's my interpretation of it. And if you're chosen by the universe, there's one specific one that you do that is called the immortal fist. And if you do that one and master it, then you become, I can't even put it into words. And I'm not even going to bother telling you the kind of crazy, Harry Potter wizard kind of stuff that happens when you master it. So to answer your question, they get progressively much more complicated. But that doesn't mean you can't learn them. If you learn the 5 elements, you will learn the 5 elements. Is if you take the spirit fighting forms and you surgically pull them apart and look at their basics, that's the 5 elements. And the 5 elements are fairly complicated too. So, but once you get all of these and you have a comfortability, then you can go to those next levels. And just to let you know, I haven't taught anybody those things yet. It is my plan to do that, but things have to progress and I have to start working with people in person and all that kind of stuff. So those 3, I probably won't just like I did this, put on video and put it out there. But who knows? Anything can happen. That's not a question. Okay, that's not a question. DC Pagan, question. Recently, some holidays like Christmas and Easter have started to feel hollow and meaningless. Should I start observing Hindu holidays? Sure, it's okay with me. You know, for me, if you remember that Christmas is Yule, that the Christmas and Easter holidays didn't exist. I mean, those aren't Christian holidays; those are pagan holidays. And I know that Wicca throws them together, and they say but they're actually sort of Frankensteining Germanic pagan holidays and what they think Celtic pagan holidays are, and trying to smash them together. But you know, like the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is a fairly new thing. They didn't do Christmas trees in pagan times, you know, but. You know, it's interesting that the Christmas tree is a new thing that was associated with Christmas that came about in Germany, which, of course, you know, energetically speaking, that's where that whole area is where it would come from. But when I look at the Christmas tree, I see, my Norse polytheist roots. I mean, it's just such a brilliant symbol of the awakening of the fertility of the earth, which is what that, the Yule, the New Year's, the changing from winter to, the longest night of the year and then starting to move towards summer again. The awakening of the earth. It's a beautiful concept. So when I look at a Christmas tree, I don't think of Jesus and the cross. I think of, it does a lot. And I think that's why people like it. They don't realize it, but they like it for what it's really meant to be, which again, the Catholic Church couldn't stop people from celebrating these pagan fertility holidays, so they just pasted some Christian thing on it. But it's got nothing to do with Christianity, and even if you believe that this guy named Jesus existed, he wasn't born on December 25th or even December 31st. He would have been born in a completely, I forget when he was supposedly born, but. So I understand what you're feeling, and if you want to walk away from it, fine. Easter too, the word Easter, Eostre, is a goddess. It's a goddess of the dawn. That's why she's associated with springtime. That's why Easter is in the spring. That's why there's rabbits, which rabbits are about fertility, and eggs and all that. I mean, so even though people celebrate these, they paste Christian words on it and they go to church, they're still celebrating the earth-based fertility. That's why they're so great. So anyway, that's what I do. I don't see that stuff. I can't stand listening to Christmas carols. That drives me crazy. But anyway, it's okay with me that you have that feeling. Let's see, where was I? Should I start observing Hindu holidays? What have you got to lose? Go give it a try. See what happens. Go for it. Atham Animist, how are you, sir? Question, does your rune certification course have a time limit for certification? No, it does not. Are there regular meetings with you during that process? No, but you're already an apprentice, right? So that's what the apprenticeship is for. So the apprenticeship, for those of you who don't know, you go to thunderwizard.com and it says first level apprentice. People sometimes confuse the first level of the subscription as the first level apprentice, and that's not it. First level apprentice means that you're meeting with me at least once a month and you're paying at least $108 per month, which by the way is cheap. Normally, if somebody wants an hour with me, it's going to cost you $300 minimum. So I give you guys, because you're apprentices. So I'm wanting to encourage people to put the effort into working towards, your own knowledge and empowerment. So as my apprentice, you can come and talk about anything in the rune teachings, but no, it's not part of that. No, the only thing that I do there is nothing, actually. I don't think I offer any one-on-ones. But you don't have to worry about that because you're an apprentice. So anyway, what else? Anything else? Ayub Hersi, question. Can we meet the Maoshan masters in the astral realm? Yes. Ayub Hersi, you're new to the channel? Are you familiar with a practice that I have, for the life of me, I can't figure out why I've done it. I've given it out for free. It's on the YouTube channel for free. It's called Awakening the Immortals Qigong. That's what that's for. If you guys, it's asking me questions before you do something. It's like standing in front of a gym and asking, am I going to have arms as big as that guy? I don't know. Get your ass in there, start lifting some weights, and then let's get out the tape measure a few months from now and we'll see. Asking me, can you? Yes. I mean, it says it in the name, Awakening the Immortals Qigong. I've got also, shamanic travel videos. I got all kinds of stuff. I teach you guys how to do all that. Yes. Put some effort into, clicking on the links or going onto the playlists and looking for what you're asking for. Short answer is yes, and I encourage you to do that. Don't ask. 90% of the time, if you guys ask me a question of, do you do this and do you do that and do you have videos for this? If you put, half the time that it took you to write the question into searching for it, you would already know the answer to that question. And I'm not doing that to be a pain in the ass. If you want to accomplish anything in this life, you're going to have to learn to be a self-motivated researcher. The internet has made very lazy people, which is why there are so many people that are being coerced into believing and doing things that, the answer to that question. It's because people have become addicted to just being fed. They don't do the work themselves. Maybe it's my generation, but I want you guys to do what I did. I researched stuff. I worked for stuff. I put things together and cobbled things together, and I reverse engineered everything that I learned, and I looked up everything, and I tried to find the roots of. I put effort into finding stuff. I've got this huge channel that has something like 1,500 videos. And yeah, that's a lot of material. But if you mastered everything that's just on the free channel, I mean, it's there for you. Please take advantage of it. Go and find it. I appreciate the question, but go do the work and you'll find out. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I'm irritated with myself for dating women I'm not attracted to. Yeah. Can you tell I can relate? Everybody listening, by the way, can relate to that. It's called being desperate. And we've all been there. Um, what are you going to do, man? I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, you're not asking a question, you're just sharing a feeling. I'm thinking maybe we'll have a better connection in person. I'm ready I'm ready to give up on dating and focus on myself and my healing. All right, man. I understand. There's not a whole lot to say. You didn't ask a question, but it's just the deal. It's a numbers game. Especially if you're meeting people online, it's a numbers game. When I was actively dating, and I did, and I met my wife. My wife I met online, and we got married. And my soulmate, uh, I met her online. But that last time when I met her, I went on. I had to have gone on at least 100 coffee dates. And I knew going into it, you just assume that every coffee date you go on is going to be unsatisfying. You just expect that. And then every now and then you find the needle in the haystack, but you just got to work on it. So it's like anything else. You just got to work for it. Unless you're lucky enough. At my age, don't even get me started. But, it was a lot easier when I was in college, because you just got this huge, meat market of single, young, hot, lonely people of whatever persuasion you're looking for. You got your church groups, so going places where there's people that you can hang out with and meet. But, in the days of where we are now. What else? Honest feeling. Okay, Baba Junzo question. What would Mahadeva do if he felt resistance to taking actions on his soul? Well, you're making a lot of assumptions on that guy. Remember where he lives. That's a great question, by the way. But that's a question you're supposed to ask yourself. The thing about Mahadeva is that he's there as the symbol that we're supposed to attain. And so when you're in a situation like we're talking about dating, so let's say you go to a bar, which I would never do, but apparently that's where you meet women. But the thought of going to a bar and meeting a drunk chick just is such a turnoff. Anyway, but let's say you're at a law of attraction seminar. How about that? You're at a law of attraction seminar, and there's a lot of new age hippie hot chicks walking around, assuming that's what you're into. And one of them, I got looked up and down at the gym. It was very good for my ego. But she was with some other guy, so I didn't want to get in the middle. And also, I'm not looking. But anyway, so you're at a law of attraction seminar, and you're waiting for the aliens to be channeled through her. You know who I'm talking about. And you see some hot chick over there. And you want to go talk to her. And you're afraid. Something comes up, you're not good enough, you're not good looking enough, she's not going to be interested in you, or maybe whatever it is that some negative fear-based thing pops up in you, which we could say is resistance to taking actions on your soul. Let's just pretend for the moment that your soul wants to go talk to her. So you ask yourself the question, okay, I'm wanting to just go back and sit at my table by myself, but I really want to go talk to that girl. So what would Mahadeva do? What would the being of pure joy and pure bliss and pure happiness, what would he do? As I sit there and ask the question, the first thing that pops into my mind is that he's just interested in connecting with her soul. And he loves her and accepts her exactly as she is, right where she is. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if he talks to her or doesn't talk to her. He's just enjoying that she exists, and he feels her soul vibrating. But because he enjoys that without any expectation of wanting anything, he would go up and talk to her. He would say, "Hey, how are you doing? Did you enjoy that last transmission? Wasn't that awesome? Hey, what do you think about such and such? Oh, that's your boyfriend. Hey, nice to meet you." He wouldn't care. "Oh, you're single? Oh, great. So am I. Want to come sit with me?" If you operate, again, I'm just answering from that perspective, but you're asking me about what he would do if he felt resistance, and it's not about him because he doesn't feel any resistance. That's the whole point. He is in complete bliss. He is in complete unity and awareness. He doesn't need or want anything. He loves and experiences everything from right where he is. So this isn't about him, it's about you. And the question you should be asking is, what do I do when I feel resistance to taking actions on my soul? And then you ask Mahadeva, and then he'll tell you. Or I'll tell you what I know. But it'll be helpful for you to kind of change the way you're asking that question. But here's another thing that I do. Think of somebody who is just a complete, if you know somebody like this, who's just completely, totally miserable. The most miserable person that you know well, that life just doesn't do anything for them. They complain all the time. And then imagine the same scenario. You're sitting there at the seminar, and there's the beautiful hot hippie chick over there, and you want to go talk to her, but you feel resistance. You're afraid. Ask in your mind, bring up that completely, totally just miserable, worthless, maybe not worse, miserable person who thinks they're worthless. Bring that person up in your mind and then ask them, what should I do? They will start telling you, based out of their fear, well, you shouldn't do anything because or you know what you should do? You should go over there and tell her how much money you have. Or you know what you should do? You should just go sit down. You should just go home. Whatever the negative thing is that's coming from their fear or their insecurity, listen to that and then go do the opposite. That's what I do. It's one of the things I do. Pro-Semite. So pay attention, follow directions. You haven't done that. I don't know what your deal is. You've been on the channel. I don't know what you do weird stuff. You know what? Here's the deal. You have the power to act rationally. You have the power to pay attention. You have the power to act with respect towards me and towards yourself. You have the power to not be so just strewn all over the place and confused and erratic and chaotic. You have the power to not do that. Because I know you have the power to not do that, I am not going to treat you, I'm not going to condescend to you. And so I'm going to treat you as though you are a conscious adult who knows how to interact and follow directions and act like a normal person. When you do that, I will start responding to you. Until then, I'm not going to. Okay? All right. Olivia Rackley, honest question. Is the shamanic dance of power that you have spoken of part of the actual hardcore spirit fighting? Yes, that's just another way that I describe it. Vincent.thunderwizard.com question. I recently attended another Coda group in addition to my regular group. Do you think it's good to stick with just one? No. Go to as many as you want. And they'll say the same thing. In fact, you could ask that question and they would say the same thing. What you want to do is you want to find a sponsor and stick with one sponsor. But you can go to as many different meetings as you want. In fact, you should go find the meetings that work for you. Eventually, it's good to commit to one group. That's also a good thing. But right now you're shopping for the group and the sponsor that you want. But you need to get a sponsor and you need to start working the steps. That's like number one on your priority list. You don't need just one. I mean, you could go to one. You could go to 7. You could go to one every day. You can go to twice a day if you want. There's no limit to how many times you can do it. It's free, so what have you got to lose? Kim B, honest feeling disappointed I got here late. Oh, well. The good news is you can rewind it and watch it from the beginning. I don't see any other questions. No other questions? All right, so you know the drill then. As I've said before, that's what this is about. Everything that I hammer away about doing the energy practices is about being a Mahadeva. When you have your higher self, your lower self, and your middle self aligned and working together, you are Mahadeva. You are the great divine. And again, go to my new channel, which is simply Mahadeva Speaks. So you can go on YouTube and search for Mahadeva Speaks, or click the link in the description or at the beginning of the chat and go subscribe there. I am learning along with you. The stuff that he's saying, I am learning along with you. And I'm just a witness just like you. But go check that out, please, and subscribe. And if that channel starts to take off, then I'll start doing more and more with that channel as well as this one. But this channel's not going away. This channel is to do the work, the energy practices to change your energy so you can become a Mahadeva. You can become a deity in flesh. So if you're late, go back and watch from the beginning, because I talk all about all of that. Go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at whatever level you want. But if you want to have this Mahadeva energy, which includes the unified energy system, which to my knowledge, I am the only person in history that has ever taught this. You have Qigong plus Kundalini plus the lightning energy of the heart, all wrapped up into one practice. And that is the most powerful energy practice on the planet, in my belief. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my experience, I've never come close to anything that powerful. Go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. Courses.thunderwizard.com, you see all my books and all of my other services. And maushan.thunderwizard.com is the elite practice. I know that's a lot of links. But go to Mahadeva Speaks and subscribe there. And if you have specific questions for Mahadeva, you can ask him there. You can put it in the YouTube comments section. And if you want to become an apprentice, like I was talking about, those are the people who do the practices and work with me on a regular basis are the people who make the most progress. And I don't know if there are any apprentice level 1 slots available, but you can go check it out and see. All right, did a question come up? Demo, Kuston. When we dream, is that the real reality, and when we wake, we start sleeping? No, that sounds really pithy and cute though, doesn't it? No, it's much more complicated than that. So you asked that question, and the short answer to that question is no. You've got that's a long question. It's a long question that deserves a longer response, but that's the kind of question, that one, if you want to, you can repeat that question and go to any of the YouTube comment sections on any of my videos and drop that question in there. And if I like it, I'll make a video about it. But short answer to your question, no. That's not how it works. Rosetta Stone question. And you don't have to yell at me in all caps, please. And you don't have to put the big red shiny, just the word question in all caps is enough. How do you raise your vibration when you are depressed? I just got through telling you. You go to thunderwizard.com and you subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, and then you'll have access to the members only video. You scroll down to the level 1 and you press play, and you do the practice with me, it will raise the energy level in your body. It will open up your heart so that you will feel the strength of your soul, and you will go after that and live that, and you will be able to achieve everything that you want. And then you'll have to come back to the channel and start learning more and more stuff about how to continue to evolve and process all of these feelings. So this whole channel is about answering that question. But you have to do the work. So are you ready to do any of the meditative practices? That will help. Thank you for the question. All right. If you need my guidance, then you can become an apprentice. Go to thunderwizard.com and sign up at the level 1 apprentice, and then you can talk to me personally and I can guide you through it. But obviously I'm not going to be able to give you something in a short little 2-second blurb on how to, somebody asked the question, how do I raise my vibration when you're depressed? There's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed, obviously. But those are my 2 suggestions. Subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge and become an apprentice, and then you can work with me, and I guarantee you will make success on that. All right, nothing else? Okay, nothing else. Okay, that's it for me then, guys. Welcome me back. I'm sorry I was gone for a week, but I just, when YouTube blocks somebody, I wish that they would let people know, like, this channel has been blocked for a week. I don't care. It's worse for me. It's more embarrassing when I can't communicate with my subscribers, which is probably why they do it that way, because, it's really about punishing you. It's not about educating you or anything like that. Anyway, but I'm back, and to the best of my ability, I'm going to keep all of my controversial opinions on the Odyssey channel, odyssee.com. Look for thunderwizard.com. You can also go to podbean.thunderwizard.com, because I'm playing around with if I should start doing a podcast. But I'll do all of the controversial stuff on the podcasts and on the Odyssey channel. So subscribe there also, odyssey.com, odyssee.com. Subscribe to the thunderwizard.com channel there, because that's a mirror of this entire YouTube channel. So if for some reason, they've deleted videos and not told me, but if I get blocked or they delete a video, it will be saved there. So you should subscribe to that, just in case something like this happens again. And I'm telling you, if I could, I would move off of YouTube. But YouTube has a monopoly, and the amount of people that actually subscribe to these other places, even if they're supposedly my follower, the amount of people is almost nothing. So it's up to you guys. If you want me to completely just have free reign to talk without any censorship and make videos about anything and everything, then there needs to be enough people that go and subscribe to these other platforms. Because without the views and without the subscribers, it's a waste of my time. But if you want to, go to Odyssey, odyssee.com, and subscribe to the thunderwizard.com. Look, search for me there. Go to Podbean, podbean.com. I think it's podbean.thunderwizard.com or thunderwizard. I don't know. But anyway, I've got a podcast there, which I'm barely starting. But the most important thing that you should do right now, as soon as I'm done talking, is go to Mahadeva Speaks on YouTube. Look for the new YouTube channel, Mahadeva Speaks, and subscribe there, because I will be sharing with you everything that comes to me. This is something I do for myself. I am doing this for my own empowerment, and I go and I open myself up to Mahadeva and I let him speak. And I'm sharing it with you, what's happening for me. So it's sharing that with you as I share everything I have with you guys. Okay, is that all? That's it. All right, guys. That's all I got. I wish you all the best. I will see you all next time. My apologies to anybody if I hurt anybody's feelings, if I was too harsh. It's just the way I am. I'm working on it. But anyway, that's all. That's my Aruda. Don't take it personally. Okay, guys, that's it. I wish you all the best. See you all very soon.